I know we're in an exciting time of the year, but members still have to abide by standing order. Question number 2, Metiria Turei. Order! Order! Show some respect. Show some respect to Metiria Turei, who I've called for question number 2.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Tēnā koutou I te whare. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by all his statements?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Does the Prime Minister stand by his rejection yesterday of research that showed 40% of New Zealand's poorest kids can't afford a raincoat, given the research was based on Ministry of Social Development data?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the member's incorrectly paraphrasing me from yesterday.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does the Prime Minister also think that MSD data is wrong when it shows that 42% of New Zealand's poorest children don't own 2 pairs of decent shoes because their families can't afford them?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I can't talk about the veracity of their data, but what I can say is that the government has been supporting the least well-off New Zealanders through a variety of programs, as I described yesterday, similar to the ones we're doing with Kids Can.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Will the Prime Minister commit to reading even just a few pages of Brian Perry's 2013 MSD report, which explains the basic items poorer Kiwi kids are regularly going without because of the cost, such as their own bed, their school uniforms, all the way from their jumpers to their shoes, and healthy food?
Right Honourable Prime
Mr.
Minister.
Speaker, I've read part of the report and I've had Brian Perry in my office, and the very interesting thing when you have him in your office and talk to him is he's absolutely adamant that income inequality in New Zealand is not widening and hasn't widened. So if the member is now quoting Brian Perry, I congratulate her because he's actually right, but it defeats her own argument.
Point of order, sir.
Order. Point of order, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I seek leave to table 2 documents. The first are pages 196 to 200 of the Household Incomes in New Zealand Trends and Indicators of Inequality and Hardship, written by Brian Perry from July 2013, showing the non-monetary indicators of hardship and deprivation.
And the second, is that the 2 documents?
And the second document, sir, is page 9 from the Solutions to Child Poverty in New Zealand, showing also the level of deprivation and hardship that New Zealand children suffer.
Order. I'm assured that both those documents are public and freely available to members. Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Does the Prime Minister agree or disagree with the new Ministry of Health findings that 27% of Māori children don't go to the doctor when they need to, often because their parents can't afford the cost of transport to get them to the doctor?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, again, I can't talk about the veracity of that quote, often misquoted by the member, but what I can say is that this is the government that provided free doctor's visits for children under the age of 13. That is a tremendous step for any government to take.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Why did the Prime Minister say to the House yesterday that the government had borrowed $5 billion to support vulnerable New Zealanders during the GFC, when in fact it borrowed $5 billion to pay for tax cuts for the very wealthy? When will he stop blaming poor New Zealand children for the country's debt?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the member is quite wrong, but what the member is demonstrating, in which she's in agreement with the Labour Party, is that they want to tax New Zealanders a lot more. Fair enough, but that's going to slow the economy down, cost jobs and put more people into welfare.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does the Prime Minister believe it acceptable for him to be willfully ignorant of his government's own evidence of serious child poverty and deprivation suffered by 25%, 1 in 4 of all New Zealand children?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the member's wrong.
Order. 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 This is a point of order. and it will be heard in silence. Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I just want to seek your assurance that the interjections from the Minister of Social Welfare, which gave you the assurance that you needed to reject the tabling of documents, will show in the Hansard.
Well, the member will have to wait and have a look at the Hansard, but I doubt so. I doubt whether there is any response to the interjection. I wouldn't expect they will show.
Well, point of order, Mr Speaker.
What is the point of order?
Well, the point of order, sir, is you responded by saying you had received an assurance that they were in the public record. That was done, sir, by way of interjection while Metiria Turei was taking a point of order.
Order. I knew they were in the public arena. They are Order! Order! We are not going to have a repeat of yesterday. When I'm on my feet, I expect all members to be silent, and that includes the Honourable Trevor Mallard. I was listening very carefully to what those documents were. I am absolutely confident they are on the public arena. They're easily available. In fact, I think I've had one of them across my desk relatively recently.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Again, can I just check before I take this point of order that this is a fresh point of order?
It is a fresh point of order,
not in any way relitigating a decision I have already...
No, I'm not. I don't think I've relitigated any decision, sir.
The member will get to the point. Thank you.
Yeah, my point of order, sir, is will you withdraw the assurance you gave the House that you had received an assurance?
The member will resume his seat, and if I get another point of order like that, the member will be leaving the chamber for the balance of question time. Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Will the Prime Minister take full responsibility for the fact that there are 45,000 more children living in severe poverty since he became Prime Minister?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, for start, if it's not correct, but what I will take responsibility for is that we've got one of the fastest growing economies in the OECD, that the worst of times we borrowed billions and billions and billions of dollars to support New Zealanders in need, and that we've got a system in New Zealand which is fair and highly redistributive, and that's the way it should be to protect the most vulnerable New Zealanders.
Question number 3, Jamie Lee Ross.
Mr Speaker.